take enough scripts from my heart, it's enough.
Take what?
I take enough scripts from my heart, it's enough.
Boone wouldn't even need a dog, he can just, all those years of experience at DCI, he doesn't.
Certified canine.
Does he yell kennel up when you show up at meetings?
Yeah, we'll definitely try and make it there and get the rest of the weekend numbers finished up and then start on manager. That was 1 o'clock. So, almost he's the guest.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's news to me.
No.
Chris said,
No, I don't think so. We should take one for work. And because you have my shot.
your shot.
I got my 2 shots.
I have my 2 sons.
Plus, for the, I think they canceled 2,700 flights. Yeah. Just in the US.
Can you hear us, Troy?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. Call this meeting to order Monday, January 3rd. Roll call, please.
Mayor Anderson.
Here.
Troy Boone.
Here.
Troy Doden.
Here.
Will Wolke.
Here.
Art Scott.
Here.
Teresa Swigan. Here. Mike Keating.
Here. Agenda was sent out on Friday. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
We'll move to adopt the agenda.
Second. Motion by Boone and seconded to adopt the agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Minutes for December 20th were sent out. Is there a motion to approve the December 20th, 2021 minutes?
We'll move to.
Bowden so moves.
Second. Motion by Boone and seconded to approve the December 20th, 2021 minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? It's approved. December 29th special meeting. Minutes were also sent out. Is there a motion to approve the December 29th?
Just we updated one thing on there, we caught one error, I should say. Mike caught an error, so we made it that, and I got the updated ones in front of you, so.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the amended 2029, or December 29th, 2021 minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Teeman, seconded by Swagan. To approve the December 29th, 2021 minutes. The discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. No visitors to be heard. Committee reports, Finance and Utility Committee, Liquor Store Operations Review.
So the Finance Committee has met numerous times over the last month or so, reviewing the financials and operation performance of the liquor store. The committee is going to be making a recommendation regarding the future of the liquor store. So I'm going to make a motion so that we can get into discussion on that motion. The committee will accept questions and be able to give more detail during that discussion. If is that how you want to handle it, Mr. Mayor, or do you want a full review report before the motion?
What's the best way?
Probably motion.
Okay, go ahead.
Discussion.
So I make a motion to immediately close the liquor store, effectively stop all retail operations and close permanently, effective immediately.
Second.
Motion by Doden and seconded by Tiedemann to close the Beresford Municipal Liquor Store.
So,
Retail operation.
regards to discussion during, in regards to the motion to close this liquor store, we asked Jerry to put together some reports for us. He can pass those out. He said he would have copies available. For the last 10 or 12 years, sales and profits have been spiraling downward. Effectively, the liquor store is breaking even at best. There are many services that the liquor store receives in kind from the city hall, street department in regards to snow removal, building maintenance, that kind of stuff. We have been unable to really transfer any funds from the liquor store to the general fund for a while, nothing substantial. So if there's no financial benefit to the community, as far as in regards to the transfer to the general fund, those funds can be used for the betterment of other parts of the city's functions and services and facilities and utilities. Then we just came to the conclusion then that there's no benefit for the city to continue to operate the liquor store as it's currently owned by the city. So there was a time 15, 20 years ago where the liquor store made a decent amount of profit every year, and that is just not a reality. Sales are literally down 40% in the last 10 years. It did make a little money this year, about $9,000 approximately. However, there are some other factors there that skew that number a little bit. The building is in need of about $20,000 worth of repairs. Some of those repairs were budgeted for this year and were not completed. The parking lot needs about $30,000 or $40,000 worth of repairs. So we're looking at $50,000, $60,000 worth of money that we would need to invest into the business in order to maintain it in operational status or condition. And the committee just doesn't feel that that is a good decision for the city or the taxpayers to continue to operate the liquor store. There are, talking with committee members today and the past few weeks, if the motion carries and we do vote to close the liquor store, then tonight, as part of our committee meeting and extended or continued discussion, we would like to then discuss some personnel issues as far as the potential or offering, paying, since we're closing it suddenly, to possibly pay some extended benefits for our one full-time employee and possibly a severance pay of some kind. And then a second discussion after that would be to just throw out some ideas that the committee has regarding the building and the liquor license and what to do with that. And we don't need to have any discussion at all about those things until we vote on whether to cease operation of a liquor store or not. That's it. Any questions?
I just got one. So we're just concentrating on closing it and then go from there? Or are we gonna kind of look at maybe renting it or selling it? I mean, is that down the road or what?
Those are things that we would discuss after the vote.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, thank you.
Because that, I mean,
You don't have to explain. I understand. Thank you.
everything would be on the table, Art, if we decide to close it. Then we would talk about options. I mean, it's I don't know, Teresa and Mike and I are the committee members, and we've been throwing ideas around. And anything would be considered, I guess.
Well, you got my vote. I'm gonna go with your committee recommendation.
So, anybody have any questions?
What is the committee's recommendation?
The committee's recommendation is to close the liquor store effective immediately, and that was my motion.
questions, Troy?
I don't know, I'm thinking. If anyone else has any, go, feel free.
I have a question, Jerry. Looking at the chart dating back to 2010, with page one, this side. Okay. The bottom row says net without markups. Can you explain?
Sure, the liquor store is not required to pay markups like anyone that would be in the business would pay, anyone that has a liquor license, other than the Bridges and the Beresford and Municipal Liquor Store have to pay a 10% markup on all liquor purchased and all 2% on all malt beverages purchased. So had they been required to pay that over the last 11 years, those markups are listed in the section of the last column. So in 2010, that would have been about $13,400. In 2020, it's down to $8,616. That is just based on the price of the product that they're purchasing directly from the distributor. So those numbers are shown there, and that's why on those things, if they were actually paying those markups, that's what they would be. That would take it away again from the actual net profit.
So this year, hypothetically, not hypothetically, looking at the numbers, had somebody else sold the same products for $296,000 and change, the city would have received $9,387 in the 10 and 2%.
That's correct.
So we would have actually made more and somebody else sold the products versus what we made by selling it ourselves.
Yep, that's correct.
And this would not, the way the motion is, it doesn't affect your ability to remain as the municipal liquor operation. Just any licenses would all be out on operating agreements as opposed to having one that's just operated by the city for both on and off sale pieces of that. So the only ones the city would then maintain as a retail operation is the golf course.
Say that again?
The motion's not to just get out of the liquor business, so that the markups would continue. Those, the holders of licenses for malt beverage and liquor would still need to pay the 10 and 2% markups.
Right.
So by closing the retail operation doesn't affect this part of it. So you still are what they would consider a municipally owned system within the, for liquor.
Okay, so then, I guess this question for you too. If we close it and come up with a different game plan in a month, what would we have to do to open it back up?
Be the action of this council. Take a majority vote of the council to do that again.
Right, but I mean, would we have to do anything with the license, or would we have to
Well, the city owns,
notice, you know?
the city holds the license, so I mean, it'll allow you to do most anything. If you wanted to put out proposals, if you wanted to try and
I'm just saying the city. If we as the city just say, we're gonna shut the door tonight,
okay,
and we come up with a different plan, and we want to, in a month, open it back up, what do we have to do as the city to open it back up? Just decide that's what we're gonna do.
Right.
We don't have to give notice, we don't have to go through any other licensing, anything.
you still hold that license and can control how it's utilized.
So this is just to shut the business down, not to do anything else.
That's what the motion was.
That's
I
the
think,
motion.
I think the discussion may evolve into those other things,
Right.
Troy.
Yep.
But the motion as it is, would just be shut down the retail operation, and then you'd have options to visit with respect to.
I didn't want to get into a point where we shut it down and then in a month we say, well, let's open it back up this way, for instance, let's just open it up as a liquor store,
As a-
not as a bar. Then in a month, we say, oh, we should never have shut it, we just should have shut it down, we just should have redid our business plan, or whatever. And if it's gonna cause a problem with opening it back up.
No,
Okay.
no. Should not have any problem.
I just got one question, regards to the same thing he did. Now, if we shut it tonight, hypothetically, we can rent it, liquor store, but the city still owns a license.
You own all the licenses in town. The people only use them through an operating agreement that they sign annually. So when they come in and renew their licenses, they're all technically city-owned licenses, but they conduct their business through a contract with the city that says they buy all of their product, they get it from the wholesalers, but they're required to pay the city a markup on the wholesale price. Pardon me?
With the markup.
The 10 and 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my question. No.
Yeah.
If the council chose to close it, there's the on-sale portion of a license, correct?
Correct.
Is there a time frame before that license would go out to, is there like a 1-year period or something like that where if we don't use that, it goes somewhere else?
No. And it's been issued for this calendar year to the liquor stores.
No, but I'm saying, let's say.
If it sits idle,
If it sits idle, doesn't it go back to the?
it is the cities, if, for example, the operating agreements generally say, if someone leaves other than city. So if Classics left theirs sit for a year without utilizing it, then that could revert back to the city for reissuance. But it already is the cities, so, you can kind of control that.
So it's up to the city to decide.
Right, the method in
what
which
to
you
do.
would handle it.
So what options does this allow us for the inventory that's sitting in there?
Inventory can either be returned to distributors or we can move it over to the bridges.
We can what?
Move it to the bridges. Whatever the distributor takes back.
We can't sell any of it if we decide to close it down.
I mean, that's the way the motion is set up. If you wanted to, I don't know, have an inventory reduction sale, I suppose you could do so.
The council could approve of that at any time.
Yeah, right.
Because like you were saying, the license still is active, it's still valid. This is a business decision, not an action on the license.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the vendor said they'd take anything back that wasn't open,
Cases,
Yeah.
typically, so.
and the rest would just transfer to the business. So we're not out anything. City owns it all anyway.
Right.
Do we have an off sale at the bridges?
I don't believe so.
What was your question?
If there was an off sale at the bridges, if we were to move it all over there, then if we had an off sale, we could always do your, sale or whatever over there, but we don't, so.
Fiesta does.
Yes.
If Bert's Sports Bar does. No, Beer Garden, we'll go.
This was not an easy decision for the committee to make this recommendation. Just given the financial status, we just felt it was better to close it down and free up the license for another business or individual that may want to purchase that license and open up their own bar. That it would be more beneficial to the city financially and such to be privately operated rather than publicly operated if it's not going to contribute to the general fund and for the betterment of all the community members that way financially.
The liquor store.
We actually budgeted.
So what,
$6,500, I think.
what we budgeted.
after transfer. That was after the repairs and the transfer.
Okay.
I'm looking at this right, Jerry, the 2010 forward. How many years did we make any money?
Well,
At the liquor store?
Well, the very far right column tells you how much we transferred over the last 11 years. $41,400 went to the general fund. So several of those years we had pretty good years, so we actually showed a profit of $33,554 over that same 11 years.
I got a question, Jerry.
Hang on, let him go.
And then with the markups again, I bring that into effect because it would affect the private person. The markups, if he would have paid that over those 11 years, was $130,000. So without the markups, the net without markups is 90. Would be with the markups would be a negative $96,804. So over those 11 years, if you paid the markups, you would have been $96,000 in the hole.
Okay, so we didn't pay the markup. So in the last 11 years then, we would be like $10,000 or something like that? As a profit?
41 and 33, yeah, 41 and 33 is what you would be at. So you're talking $75,000.
As a profit for the last 10 years.
For the last 10 years, so 70 or less than $7,000 a year, 11 years.
Essentially, the city would have collected more dollars in the tax by
Right.
90,000 than what we made in profit by operating it.
Absolutely. I just wanted jury so that when people have questions about why we're doing it, it's on the record as to why we're doing it.
I think too, we need to look at these 1 through 5 on that first sheet here. These are things that if it was a privately owned business, that business owner would be paying for accounting and payroll, snow removal, you know, they may do some of it themselves, but these are things that the liquor store has not paid City Hall or the street department or anybody to do these. They've just been given free services. Now, if you want, we could go and put a dollar amount on those, and I think then we've eaten up that 75,000 over 11 years pretty quickly.
No, absolutely. I just wanted the total on the record, so to speak, so that anyone that has questions can look at this. Can the public get these numbers? Is this?
Sure.
I mean, and
It's just a
nobody
summary
could run a
I keep
business.
on.
Nobody could
You
run
can
a
go back
business.
to, I think it go back to 2003 with them, on something like these spreadsheets.
And I mean, there's nobody that could run a business on this.
No.
Not without it being subsidized. Which is what we're doing,
Right. The taxpayers of Beresford are
subsidizing the liquor store.
subsidizing the liquor store.
I've got a question whenever you guys are done.
Go ahead.
No, my question, Jerry, is our concern to liquor store, because I was on that committee a long time ago. I don't even bring up the past, but when I was on there, the taxes for the liquor went through the liquor store. Was that considered income for the liquor store?
That got switched, what, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
Pretty soon?
So now, if you
Yes.
minus that for the 10 years, they really never made nothing.
You take some of that out.
No, take some of it out, they didn't make nothing, about 15 to 20,000.
Yeah, we started, that's a good point, Artie. Let's see that one, yeah.
Yeah.
What should be on?
It showed on here that through 2010 through 2018, the liquor store received that 10 and 2% as income. And then in 2019, we took that and put it back, we put it in the general fund
Yeah,
instead.
exactly. Yeah, if you add those, if you go back to 2018, you add those two numbers together on the revenue side, they're about halfway down those numbers. You should go back to the liquor store as a revenue source, and it didn't make any sense that they didn't do anything to create those numbers. All they did was collect the tax on behalf of the city by contacting the businesses to make sure, and now the city hall does that, so.
Well, I appreciate the committee recommendation, because I backed the recommendation, and hopefully we can move on and make a better decision. Appreciate all the time and energy you did, this is quite in-depth, so thank you.
So let me, you lost me. So the 10 and 2 it was for those 8 years collected through the liquor store.
Exactly.
So that is gonna be, I mean, that's like,
About $125,000.
yeah, it's like, yeah, I was gonna say it's $15,000 to $20,000 a year. It shows as profit, but wasn't profit because it was Fiesta or Burt's or the other bars selling money, and all the liquor store did was collected the money and then just sent it over to the city hall.
And
So,
so
over the last-
if we had a general fund transfer, that's where most of that money would have came from. But there was quite a few years that we didn't even have enough transfers.
So there's no way to show over the last 11 years that the liquor store has made really any money, the liquor store and the bar. Not talking about any taxes, not talking about them paying anything, just a straight up business.
So probably in the hole.
Right.
Considerably in the hole.
Yeah, if you, like I said, it's a 75,000, take that out of there. Whatever we transferred and the profits, I think I told you earlier, it was about 75,000.
Mhm.
Nathan just added those quickly, he said, like 75,000 in markups, so if you throw those out, you can break even. And again, remember, we didn't
Did you
pay any
say
of the
125?
I mean, just rough estimate, it looks like there's about 125 plus thousand.
So $50,000 to put in the hole.
Plus, there's considerable work that needs to be done.
Oh, yeah. I know, I'm not talking building, I'm not talking anything, I'm talking straight up just cash business.
Yep.
I mean, cause we can what if repairs on, I mean, we should have done it 10 years ago, you know, would have showed up 10 years ago, some of the repairs that probably needed to be done. You know, and it's not, I guess in my opinion, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, doesn't have anything to do with the building, or doesn't have anything to do with the repairs that need to be made right now. This is based on just straight numbers,
Right.
not what we should have done to the building or whatever.
Just for discussion's sake here, video lottery is also collected there. I see those numbers every month. Is it roughly accurate to say that their profit from video lottery is roughly $1,000
That'd be pretty close.
a month after they pay out?
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah, this year we brought in $13,802.
So even with the video lottery, they're still not, really, they're still not above water.
We treat that as revenue for our budgeting purposes, so it does go into a different account, but we do treat it as revenue.
But the video lotteries are not some huge windfall of profit.
Not like it used to be, no.
I kinda agree with Teresa too, if you add those 1 to 5, that's gonna be a hell of an expense too. There's no way around that, and you add the aggravation, and time and energy with the office workers, and the police running over there all the time, you can add.
That might not change.
You can add quite an expense.
And we,
Well, I think too, you know, we can see the total revenue has continued to decrease. In 2010, we were at $464,000, and now we're down to less than 300,000. Our costs aren't gonna go down. Our costs are only gonna go up, and if our revenue is gonna keep going down, now is the time that we allow for somebody else to take over operations.
and if we do vote to close it, I think we discussed, we could potentially move the video lottery out to the bridges. It is set up out there for a video lottery as well. Yeah,
We
so,
would just have to talk.
Yeah, no one's been talking to you about that. but
Right.
it's Optional. We set it up that one room, there's room for about 4 or 5 of them.
so that's an option too, so. Potential more revenue out of the bridges. Any other questions? Troy, you have any more to add?
No, I don't.
Hearing no more discussion, the motion on the table was to suspend or stop retail operations of the Beresford Municipal Liquor Store effective immediately. By Doden and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
So, Mr. Mayor, we'd like to now discuss, our personnel over there and how this immediate closure affects them. We did confer with council. This is an open meeting discussion and not an executive session discussion. So we'll be having this discussion now, I guess. Couple of the ideas we threw out. Maverick is our only full-time employee over there. So the committee would recommend doing some kind of severance, talking with Jerry. Where we're at right now, the committee thought a 1-month severance would be fair. I was visiting with Jerry about pay periods that the city employees are on. We're currently in the middle of a pay period. This week is the second week of the current pay period. If Maverick is in agreement, or if the council is in agreement, I guess my thought was that if he could help out with setting up some returns to the vendors, finish out this week and get his full week in, and then also pay him then in severance, not in one lump sum, but pay him his full 80 hours per pay period for the 2 following pay periods, which would take him until sometime the first week of February, and pay his health insurance benefits through the end of February. Because if he's on our payroll yet at the end of this month, his insurance will get paid for February at the end of this month. So that, I don't know, we never really came up with a firm recommendation on that. That was just one idea we were kicking around, was to keep him on the payroll for about another month, and that would should be able to find hopefully be able to find something. He would also qualify for unemployment, I guess, was part of the discussion. So, and then the part-timers, there are some part-timers that are scheduled every week regularly. One idea we kicked around was possibly paying the regular part-timers or maybe 1 or 2 weeks worth of projected wages for the part-timers. Did I get that right, Mike and Teresa? Or?
Yeah. That's pretty much what we discussed. We will accept other.
Anybody else have any ideas on that? I know we're throwing this at you all of a sudden, but
So to summarize, you're saying 1 month severance and potentially letting him continue out the pay period if he agrees, which would in effect extend the payment a little bit.
I think essentially it's about 5 weeks.
If he agreed to finish out the work week doing work at the liquor store as part of the shutdown process, then his employment then would essentially end on Friday, but we would pay him an additional 4 weeks after that. 2 pay periods. If he doesn't want to finish out the week, we just pay him for 4 weeks, or to the end of the month. But there was just 2 ideas.
I got a question. His service to the liquor store, wasn't that in question not that long ago?
I'm gonna make a motion to go into executive session for disciplinary of